Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to another video. My name is Philip, also known as PS or PS Enough. Today we're going to talk about books, and this book in particular, The Walking Dead, just got his last issue, rest in peace, issue number 32. Uh, an ending that came out of nowhere, or well, they didn't pre-announce it at least, so when they announced it that number 32 was coming, they said that it would be the final ending. And it was very interesting. I've been following this series for quite a long time. I started originally with the comics, but then I also ended up reading the written books. I have I'm counting seven of them, seven of the books. I have all of the comics with this one. I have also some of the games that came out through Telltale, Skybound. Um, I've been following the series for quite a long time. I also watched some of the TV series. I didn't finish completely those, but I'm a big Walking Dead buff. So what do I think about this last issue? I think it was well written. I think it was well done. Some people might be sad or disappointed with the ending. Not as much because of the way that it was written, but more because it's ending itself. But there was a nice blurb at the end by Robert Kirkman where he explains the reasons why it ended and why he felt like this was the proper ending to make it instead of putting more fillers in it. He wanted to do like something solid, and that the editors also respected that, and his co-artists also respected that. And I think it's good. I think it's better that you have a solid thing that ran its course instead of pumping it all full of fillers. He mentioned something very interesting halfway through, though, that those pages in the end, where he mentions that there was an original ending planned by the end when they settled down in Alexandria, and that they were planning to end it there at some point. And when they finally settled down in Alexandria, it would just they would end up doing like a statue of Rick there, of all the things he managed to accomplish, and then you would go into the future and zoom out from the statue, and you would see that the entire city was still overrun by zombies, as in like premonition that it wouldn't stand, like that after all the battles that they would do still after Alexandria being settled, that they would not be able to hold it and that they would be overrun by zombies. But they ended up continuing the series and dismissing that as too bleak to be worth considering. So they ended up bringing up a new storyline with Negan, which became quite a massive character, although a bit of a rehash from the governor, but it had its own quirks somewhat. And the Whisperers also got thrown in there, and then this last arc with the Commonwealth, which was rather short. I was thinking they would expand it a bit more. I was surprised that it ended on this issue 32 completely, and this is like a quite thick issue, but it's like half of it is the ending of the Commonwealth thing, and then the other half is like fast forward to the future and seeing how all of the characters ended up doing in the future. So that was interesting read. I think it was a nice way to wrap up this series. So thank you, Robert Kirkman, Charlie Adlard, Stefano Guidiano, and Cliff Rathburn for all the love they put into this series throughout the years. I really enjoyed reading it all, and I was not disappointed with this last issue. I give it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, and I think there will be some things happening here that might shock some people. I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't want to give you any spoilers, so I'm not going to mention what it is exactly. Just expect, well, The Walking Dead usually has like that, like they took a bit of some inspiration from Game of Thrones, I guess, and started like killing main characters back and forth a lot throughout the series. So expect some interesting things, some shocking things, but it's I think it's well done. It's not forced. They got their inspiration from Game of Thrones, but they didn't end up throwing like the Game of Thrones TV series did. So I think it worked pretty well. So yeah, Walking Dead. What more can I say? I'm curious if they're going to publish any more written books after this to fill out some of the gaps in the storyline, perhaps, like some more backstory for some of the characters, something like that. They did a backstory comic about Negan himself. I also got that one. It wasn't as good. I only give it like 3 stars, but it was still interesting to see Negan's backstory and figure out how he ended up the kind of person that he was in the series. But I'm interested more, like, for example, on the princess, how she came to be into this character. She only shows up in the last arc, but she's a very interesting character, and I would like to know more about her, for example, and other characters, like the king that used to be with Michonne. That would be interesting to know a bit more of his backstory as well. So I'm curious if they're not going to use the books to do a few more of those. I know that the books sort of were passed to another writer, but I enjoyed what they did with that. It didn't feel like it was someone milking the cow. It felt like it made sense, and the storyline was coherent and following the vision from Kirkman rather decently. So I'm happy with that, and I hope they will keep at it. What more can I say about the TV series? I didn't really like the TV series that much. I watched a few seasons of the first one. I watched like 1 episode of a spin-off. I know there are 4 spin-offs overall, or 4 series overall about The Walking Dead. I only seen 2 of them, so I am not quite sure what the other 2 are. I have to check that out. I didn't like it because it felt too much like a soap opera, like they were delaying the story moving forward so much, so the episode just felt boring. And especially when you already know somewhat the story that it's going, you just end up saying, like, this is not what happens on the comics. This is different. This is wrong. And yeah, some new characters were interesting. I like the guy with the crossbow, for example. That was an interesting character, which doesn't show up in the comics at all. So a lot of interesting characters like that. But overall, I didn't have the patience. The comics were better, in my humble opinion. About the games, the video games, the ones from Telltales were pretty darn good. I really enjoyed those. I played the first 3 seasons, I believe. I didn't play Michonne's mini series. I didn't play the last season that just came out a few months ago, and they're now on Epic Game Store instead of Steam and GOG and all the other platforms that it used to be. It became an Epic Store exclusive, which was good because the company kind of went broke, the company that was publishing the game, and it was like saved by Epic to be resurrected. Otherwise, they wouldn't have finished the 4th season at all. So I'm curious how that wraps around. I'll probably try to play that as soon as I can find it at an affordable price. But yeah, last issue of Walking Dead. I'm sad that it's gone, but I'm happy that I got to discover it. So thank you again for that. And that's it. Hope this video was useful. Let me know what you guys think on the comments below. If you agree, if you don't agree, all that kind of thing. See you next video. Bye bye everyone. Take care.